This is a fake NES classic. Fake.
Oh.
That's super fake.
They try to rob this black man. Look at that, man. They out here selling super fakes, man. That ain't no Super Nintendo if I ever saw one, man. That's crazy, bro. That's what they be doing at GameStop, man. You know, you got people returning products and putting out emulation boxes. Like, what is this, man? Look like he got that from AliExpress, bro. This is crazy, man. You know, you guys still want to hold on to physical media. That ain't Super Nintendo. That is super fake.
That is a fake NES classic. Yeah, somebody did.
You're going to have to start ID checking y'all and everything. Look at this. Out here putting Chinese products up in there. But at least it ain't Japanese, though. It ain't Japanese, though. There you go. Entertainment. Oh.
Kind of paired with the wrong controller, too. But that is a PlayStation 1. What model does this is? It's a 7501.
Now this is the right way. Hey man, stop playing with the buttons, man. Leave the lid alone. What you doing, man? Out here checking up all these products, man. Listen, Mr. Right Way. You want to complain about they ain't having enough retro games at GameStop because you bought them all. What the hell you complaining about? You the one coming in there spending hundreds of dollars on all this high quality, you know, Nintendo Entertainment products, and you getting mad because they out here trying to sell you some super fakes?
How much is the PlayStation 1? $79. Okay.
Why you put it in the box like that? Hold on, man. Nah. Don't do that to the PlayStation 1, man. You know, you guys talk about how y'all all about physical media, but y'all ain't trying to spend $79.99 on a PlayStation 1. Like, what you doing, man? You know, as soon as he heard it, he just put it right back into the box. Like I said, this is not the whole video. This is just something I wanted to add because it's funny. But let's get into the real meat and potatoes of the next one.
Following about exclusives in the recent Mashable interview. We're really seeing people evolve way past exclusives. The biggest games in the world are available everywhere.
Which is true.
Call of Duty, you look at Minecraft, you look at Fortnite, you look at Roblox.
That is so funny because how many times I've mentioned these games throughout these videos, and yet for some reason you ponies still don't get it.
Actually, what's really driving community in gaming. That's where people gather and they have experiences. And the idea of locking it to one store or one device is antiquated for most people. Now, this is such a backwards way of looking at the gaming community and culture. Yes, big games like Minecraft and Call of Duty and Fortnite and Roblox, they're everywhere. It's the nature of games of that size. It's the nature of live service games, right? Not all of them are live service, but ongoing support, ongoing player funnels, needing to capture and keep everybody's attention. They need as many players as possible to keep those engagement funnels healthy. So, when you see the sales charts every year, you will also notice that...
Well, the reason why they're being supported like that beyond belief is due to the fact that they're getting so much support from everywhere else. The reason why you see a lot of games don't get the same support, because guess what? There's just not that many of you guys to care. Half of you guys go out and go play another game, or should I say, buy another exclusive. You put the other one on the shelf, and then you got to wait. Sony's got to wait 6-7 more years just so they can get $70 out of you. Just for y'all to complain, claiming that the game is woke, like Ghost of Yote.
Exclusives from PlayStation are up there. Exclusives from Nintendo are up there.
No, PlayStation exclusives are most definitely not up there. Now, you can make that argument for Nintendo. Pokemon Legends ZA did sell 50% worse than Archives did, even with a higher install base, which, like I've said, it sold well, but it is room for concern. Like I've said, I don't understand why people call me a fanboy for bringing up things in perspective, but that's what's going on here, guys. I will say I do think people are starting to buy less and less games, and people are comfortable with what they already have already.
See how one-sided this view of the market is. She's basically saying, well, there's these really big games, and they've made themselves available everywhere. Therefore, all gamers or most gamers, they think exclusives are antiquated. If her logic was correct, then with Call of Duty and Fortnite and Minecraft and Roblox, they've been available for a long time. Surely by now the market would be rejecting exclusives, not embracing them and pushing them up the sales charts. In 2023, both Spider-Man 2 and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom were top-selling games.
But hold on. But that game also dropped on another platform, though. You can't. That's like I've said before. You PlayStation fanboys don't have that same argument. Now, if a Nintendo gamer wants to make that argument, they can. But as a PlayStation fan, you can't, because where did Marvel Spider-Man 2 go? Oh, that's right. It went on another platform. You can't say that argument.
For the year. As large games like Fortnite and Call of Duty, they're so big. Why is the market not rejecting these games if the majority of gamers think it's antiquated? Why are they supporting them so much? Then, look at the recent marketing differences between PlayStation and Xbox. This really demonstrates how out of touch Xbox is with gamers.
I think the people that are out of touch is the people that think that exclusive games matter, especially if you're playing on Xbox and PlayStation. I mean, come on, guys. Even on Steam, it's the same trending Call of Duty. Well, Steam has a few other ones like Counter-Strike, etc. But my point is, it's always the same popular games. Even when Nintendo, even though they keep their games exclusive to their platform, it's always the same Legend of Zelda, Mario. Those are the only games that really sell well. But if they did an F-Zero or a Kid Icarus, those games they don't see the same success. That's why we don't see very much of them. So at the end of the day, the market does show us, regardless of who's developing what game, people are going to buy what they want. They're going to buy the Mario game. They don't care if he's in a galaxy. They don't care if he's even riding around on a go-kart, Mario Kart World, golfing, playing basketball, having parties. You know, that's why they put Mario on everything, because that's what people are buying it for the children. It's a simple concept to understand. There's a reason Nintendo has a lot more intellectual properties in the franchises that they continuously keep using, but they only rely on specific characters because that's where the money's at.
Xbox has a 44-second...
And also, too, Nintendo don't put the same budgets in their games as Microsoft and Sony does. So that's another moot point.
That is being made fun of, it's being downvoted, it's being criticized by the gaming community. I honestly, when I first saw screenshots and clips, I thought it was...
I never thought I'd see that guy again.
Very accessible. Let's remove barriers of entry. He's not thinking about the creative work that goes into making great exclusives and how historically that's what draws people to gaming or to gaming platforms in general. Removing access isn't really the draw. It's like, well, you've removed access, but why would I care to play games on my tablet or my smart TV?
Well, then you have to explain as to why Sony's doing the PS5 PC cross-buy. Like, what do you guys don't understand, man? This is what people have been telling you guys. Nobody's picking up these platforms for exclusives. Nobody. Maybe Nintendo can make more of an argument for that, but like I've said, even with 160 million install base, Pokemon is not selling within the 50 to 70 to 80 millions. It's just not. You guys know it. Pokemon is a huge franchise for Nintendo, but you will notice that the highest one was like Pokemon Sword and Shield as of recently, which was like 25 million. I brought up the fact that I think a lot of those fans double dipped. Because, like I said, and if you do 12 million times 2, that'd be close to 24, 25 million as those games sold. You can tell that by looking at the Pokemon sales numbers. Now, I'm not saying the games don't do well, but more than likely, one person buys 2 separate copies. That's just something that I've noticed. But hey, it's still a pretty big audience. But you guys there's more people playing Candy Crush than Pokemon. There was more people playing Pokemon Let's Go. You guys are not looking at the overall market. The vast majority of people are playing games on their phone. I know that might sound crazy to you, but that's the reason why Microsoft and Sony, and including Nintendo eventually, will decide to chase that market. Because honestly, that is where the money's at. And I can guarantee you that the new Pokemon Champion game that they got between Switch 1, 2, and mobile is to help bridge that gap. Because I can tell you one thing. PlayStation just don't have the library of games that make people want to buy them. Xbox and Nintendo does, for sure. No matter where these games go. Doesn't matter. People are going to continue to support those intellectual properties. Now, mind you, if you throw PlayStation, who's going to buy a PlayStation for even your own audience don't even do it. Why do you think your games are dropping on PC? And you guys, well, Xbox dropping their games on PC, but Gears, Halo, and all these franchises was successful even before they even had the PC arrangement. The only reason why Microsoft's doing it because they want to expand on what they already have already. Does that make sense? Unlike Sony trying to copy Microsoft by doing the same thing, but you don't even got the love from your own audience.
Never really been gaming to begin with. Is that going to be the thing that makes me start gaming? Well, I just have to go buy a controller and hook it up to my TV with Bluetooth and pay for a subscription service to play these games on the cloud. Like, that's not a very strong sales point or value offer to somebody who...
You sure? Because that's what the vast majority of gamers are doing. Casual, mobile, Candy... Like, I know it... Bro, Candy Crush had about 200 million monthly people playing the game. 200 million. That is bigger than any other game that you guys can think of. You guys are really underestimating mobile gaming. If anything, what Microsoft and Sony's potentially doing is only going to help further grow their business, especially with how expensive it's getting for them. You guys don't want to read the room. You guys want things locked, tethered to one box like a bunch of corporate slaves, not realizing that the reason why y'all ain't got no games on PlayStation because it costs too much money and it's expensive. It ain't enough of you fanboys to buy them.
Been gaming. So if you look at that and like Satya's vision, then look at PlayStation's marketing. It's like it happens on PS5. They also are incredibly wrong when it comes to consoles as an actual marketable device. In 2024, Phil Spencer did an interview with Rolling Stone where he famously said the following: the console space all up isn't growing across all of them, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. We love those customers, but in terms of continuing to expand and grow...
He's right, though. Let's break it down. He's absolutely right. Let's go as far as the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. Like I said, I mean, I'm looking at it when it grown. PlayStation 1, it definitely grown, right? You had the Saturn, you had the PlayStation that was like over 100, and then the 64 was around 30. Have you noticed something? Nothing has ever been over 300 million consoles total. Nothing. Y'all like, damn, Games, you're right. So that's what he's saying, because remember, it says across all of them, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. So Phil Spencer is essentially saying there's only about probably 300 million gamers probably on consoles that are playing no matter which platform, let it be Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Because if gaming was growing, we wouldn't be hearing about these numbers. Consoles would be selling within the billions. No different than how the games are on phone when people download and play them there. Console gaming has stagnated. And this is something you guys... And the funny thing is, I don't think this is something that they've expected. This is why they're making these changes now. But think about it. 360, that was a very high gen. PS3 was like 80. 360 was like 80. It's like what? Right? So, okay. So you got that. And then you have the Wii that came in with 100 million. That was probably the closest we had to even eclipse 300 million consoles. Then you went to PS4. That was like 100. 58 with the Xbox One. The Wii U was really a part of that generation, so you can't even really count that. So I guess, yeah. So it's still under that 300 million total consoles. Then you got PS4. Was it? No, not PS. PS5. Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to where to put Switch in. You know, it's kind of in between the two. I don't know, because the Switch won, but the funny thing is, it's not a home console though. But we'll still add it. 150 mil, 100. So yeah, that generation I think they hit about 300 million consoles. But like I've said before, nothing really went over that. If you go through the whole gaming history of what we've been playing, nothing has really over exceeded that 300 million consoles altogether. When I mean altogether, I'm talking about all of them collectively. Has hit over that. And if they do, it's on rare occasions.
Xbox, it's about PC, it's about cloud, and it's about making our games more available in more places. And yet somehow, if what he's saying is correct, then why is PlayStation boasting of like a 20 to 30% new user acquisition for the PS5? Basically, 1/3 of the people who have purchased a PlayStation 5 are new to PlayStation. That sounds like growth. That doesn't sound like stagnation.
Because they're buying it first. So there's a few reasons. Backwards compatibility. Matter of fact, maybe there's a time they want to upgrade. They're probably doing it in preparation for GTA 6. But ain't none of it coming from exclusive games. None of that's coming from exclusive games. That's just so they can play with their friends and Roblox. That's it. I know people buying a PS5 for that. I know. I asked these questions too, but that's what the casual gamers are buying. Or playing.
PlayStation has just now started really pushing their marketing of the PlayStation into China, and that could yield very good results for their growth.
And how are they going to push it through China when they can't sell consoles in China? Ding, 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 ding. Good answer, Carl. Through the PC market, which you guys keep saying that Sony's trying to single-handedly avoid. You can only push games to the Chinese market by pushing it through PC. You can't push it through consoles because that country is not allowed to buy consoles. What do you people, bro? You know what, man? What do you people don't understand? These companies are not thinking about you. They're thinking about expanding their business. That whole China Hero project that you brought up is to expand to those gamers in that country through PC, not console. They can't even buy consoles in that country. What are you talking about?
As a platform. And then look at the reason.
You see how he cut that off real quick? What do you mean as a platform? You can't, they don't even have PlayStations there. The only platform that is available there is PC, you big dummy.
Port for the Switch 2. Pulling from the Verge article. The Switch 2's popularity has exceeded even Nintendo's anticipations, with the company raising its sales forecast for the console by more than 25%.
But that's Nintendo, though.
Release
how is like I said, how does this translate to Sony? Because this is not what's happening with Sony, though. Nobody's buying your system for your games.
September 30th, Nintendo now predicts that it'll sell 19 million Switch 2 units by March of 2026, compared to its previous forecast of 15 million. So that's 4 million more units. But wait, there's more. For a market that is allegedly not growing, listen to how the Switch 2 and even the Switch 1 are doing from the same report. While the Switch 2 is the fastest-selling game console of all time, the first Switch console is also still creeping up in sales. The Switch has now hit 154.01 million lifetime sales, just shy.
Oh, wow, it went by an 02. Oh, my goodness, you guys are so... It went from 154.01 to 154.02. Wow. You know, that's some extra, that's some extra numbers there, Jimmy.
154.02 million total unit sales.
That's probably only about 10,000 there.
Which still reigns as Nintendo's most successful console.
Oh my goodness, man. Out here fighting for decimals.
The Switch then just needs to surpass 160 million sales to become the best-selling console of all time. A record set by Sony's PlayStation 2 last year. So listen. The Switch 2...
PlayStation 2 last year? Hold on, what?
It's the fastest selling game console of all time, and the Switch 1 is still climbing in sales. How's that possible?
Bro, it only climbed up 154.01 to 154.02. You're making it seem as if it went up another million. Bruh, what are you talking about, bro? Oh, guys, look at that. Look at the sales metrics. The sales of the Switch is right back at it. It went from 154.01 to 154.02. Wow. Bro, you acting like it went from 154 to 156 or 155. That would make more sense to bring up. But, bro, I can't believe you guys are out here fighting for some of the... That is so pathetic, bro. Oh, wow, it went up an extra 1,000, 154.01 to 154.02. Wow, that is a significant improvement.
The market for consoles is stagnating. We were told, this is where the industry's going. Console market's not growing. Exclusives are outdated. They're anti-consumer. And yet we're seeing Nintendo buy in one more time around with their closed system, with exclusives, and they're selling like crazy to the point that they're increasing projections.
Well, you can't really say that because a lot of their games is cross-gen. Pokemon Legends is cross-gen. Metroid Prime 4, which I'm assuming these games are going to do well, guys. This is not me bashing it. This is me putting things in perspective. They're cross-gen. This is what you guys don't understand. It's cross-gen. So if people buy Pokemon Legends on Switch 1, it doesn't matter because they're still getting the sale even if you get it on Switch 1 or 2. You get what I'm saying? I feel like you guys do this on purpose. And on top of that, Reforge Gaming, you're not even a Nintendo gamer. So why are you even bringing up Nintendo to defend a PlayStation argument about them having exclusives? Shouldn't you be using PlayStation as an example? Oh, you can't. You know why? Because nobody buys exclusives on your platform. That's why you can't use it as an example. You using Nintendo as an example doesn't mean it's an example that could be used for PlayStation.
PlayStation continues to drive with exclusives, new user acquisitions hitting higher MAUs than they've ever hit before, but apparently the market's not growing and exclusives are antiquated and
it's not growing. And like I've said, we've still hit within that $300 million mark, 300 million console mark. It's not 400 million. A sense of growth would be 400, 500 million consoles total, 600 million consoles total. That would be a market that's growing. But if you're telling me that consoles are barely at the peak of where gaming is at, only hitting within or under that $300 million margin, which Phil Spencer said altogether, which he included Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, then obviously there's no growth in consoles, which essentially what he's trying to say that, okay, we can't get any more people to get to the platform. Once they've already established here, they're not going nowhere else. That's why you see stuff like 100 and something on PlayStation 2 and then 30 and 30 on the Xbox and the GameCube. You know why? Because gaming hasn't grown. Nobody else is going out there picking up these games or these consoles. Once the market has hit its peak, there's no way to make any more money. And this is why Microsoft said, you know what? Let's expand on that notion. So whatever lost money that we're losing, we can make it up on the rebound, let it be through PC, PlayStation, Nintendo, or whatever have you. Especially with how expensive gaming is getting for them. You want to bring up, well, Nintendo still got exclusives. Well, Nintendo ain't spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to make games. Pokemon Legends probably had a budget of $200,000. like, of course, they're able to get away with it. They don't have high budgets for their games. Like, I swear, bro, I think I heard about Super Mario Bros. Wonder having a $200,000 budget. The games don't even have voice acting, bro. What do you guys don't understand? That's why Nintendo was able to get away with this hustle, because they make low demanding games and they walk out with high profit. It's a simple concept to understand. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, Sarah Bond is correct. The market, including Phil, the market is not growing. It's the same 300 million consoles altogether. And if you want to sit there and say that's not the truth, GameStop, go back even within gaming history and notice that we haven't really fully eclipsed that. We might have got there. Switch 1 kind of came out within, I don't know, would y'all count that with PS4 and Xbox One? I don't know. I guess you could, but then you got to take in consideration with the Wii U though, because that technically the Wii U was a part of that generation, not really the Switch. You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to say, honestly. But I mean, like I said, but if you want to, I guess, but think about it. That's between 4 consoles and not 3 that they normally would have. So I guess it depends on how you want to see it. But I will say it was, even if it did hit the 300 million margin, that was an extra additional console that dropped, right? That dropped on top of the Switch that did that generation, as well as it still barely went over 400 mil. That's not growth. Growth is, okay, console gaming as a whole, 300 million consoles was this gen, 400 million consoles the other gen, 500, 700, 800 million consoles this generation. It's always been the same. Once gamers allocate to a certain platform, they don't leave for the whole generation. And this is what Microsoft's trying to say. Because you know why? You can't get anybody to get the other platform because they're already comfortable playing on the other one. That's why PlayStation 1 and 2 and nobody bought the GameCube or the N64, because all those Nintendo fans or Sega fans that had a problem with the lack of third party just jumped on PlayStation 1 and 2 where the PS1 and 2 had it. So therefore, they didn't care about buying the GameCube. I'm not saying the diehards didn't, but I'm just saying you guys are not the subject. You know what I mean? You're not subject to that rule. You know, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I've said, consoles have always been either 300 million or under, and it will continue to be like that no matter how expensive gaming is getting, because unfortunately the console gaming especially is not growing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Take care.